Hey everyone, welcome to Shelf Space with Kino Lorber, where we talk about all things physical media with Kino Lorber's head of acquisitions, Frank Tarzi. I'm in the studio today, so I'm very excited about that. It's just us today, but Frank will be answering your audience questions, so thank you to everyone who submitted a question ahead of time. If you would like to submit a question for the future, please sign up for our newsletter to get on our email list. And please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And if you have a customer service question, you can use the link in the description below to fill out a form or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Frank.
So,
How are you?
how are you?
I should know it by now after like the
Yes.
20th time.
Yeah. Well, they should know too. So
That's true. That's very
watch
true.
an early episode. All that information is in the beginning always. So
Very, very good point. So how's your year going so far?
year's going well. I mean, at the company, I'm kind of I'm figuring out for the first time in a long, long time, I'm delegating some responsibilities. I'm going to produce less titles now. I'm going to have other people actually produce some of our releases. I'm probably going to just hold on to maybe anywhere from 1 to 3, maybe 4 at most releases a month, and then Rob Sweeney and some other people are gonna produce the rest of my acquisitions. I'm gonna spend more time doing research, acquisitions, and also try to find some hidden gems, films that have been lost for a while. I'm trying to figure out who owns those. That gives me more time to do things like that.
Like more Night of the Jugglers, basically.
More Night of the Jugglers and things like that. I'm currently working on a couple of really cool ones, so those are pretty much another film that um, I think fans will be very excited about once we clear it and get the deal signed. I'm gonna continue doing the studio deals. We're very close to doing another MGM deal, but even closer to finishing a small Paramount deal. We just signed a Studio Canal deal, and then we're also going to do another Universal small, and maybe follow that with a larger deal a little bit later. And there's also a couple of other studios that I'm talking to currently that we've at this point, we don't want to, there's nothing there to confirm. So it's potential, new deals that could come up later. And we have a small Gaumont deal that we're working on, which is 5 or 6 films, but they're really good little films. I think I'm really excited about that. So
Cool. Anything you can't really divulge like any more details than that? Or at least
no,
like
I mean we have we're working on a lot of things. So I think we're gonna have much better titles to confirm in the future. I could confirm at least one film for the Studio Canal deal. There's a 4K restoration of Fleek Story, which means cop story. There's Alain Delon and Jean Louis Trintignant, and directed by Jacques Doré. It's like a really good film that we had released on DVD years ago. I think we had released it through another company, and now um, we got it from Studio Canal. And then as far as our Universal deal is concerned, we have that film with Clive Owens and Julia Roberts. I think it's called Duplicity.
oh, I
So
forgot
we
about
have
that.
that. That's gonna come out on 4K. I've always enjoyed that film. It's a good little film. So um, we're trying to see if we get an interview done with Clive Owen, who's also an Inside Man that has been sitting on the shelf for a while because Spike Lee needs to approve the restoration.
Okay.
Um,
That would be great to get him to do an interview.
yeah, it's
Who directed that one, Duplicity?
it's the person that wrote the Bourne movies.
Oh, Paul Greengrass?
No, Paul Greengrass directed Bourne. The Bourne was
Oh,
second
the
and third.
actual writer.
The guy that wrote Tony Gilroy, I think. Yeah, Tony.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
I think he's a New Yorker, so he lives in New York. So he's directed a few movies, and the films that he's directed is very good. He's a really good writer and also a very good director. So
Oh, cool.
he started his career as a screenwriter, but I think he's directed some films now too. So
Is he gonna do any bonus content?
I think the previous Blu-ray had an audio commentary by him, so there's no reason for us to do a new one.
Okay.
He will, of course, be we reach out to him to approve the the transfer. As far as the films that we've been waiting for approvals, Snowman is going to be out hopefully in May. The Great Outdoors hopefully in May. Harry and the Hendersons maybe in May. Um, and we have some other really cool. We're gonna announce a cool little. One of the things that I also want to do is I want to be able to do kind of curated little box sets and stuff like that. Sometimes just on Blu-ray. Just interesting little projects that I could get excited about. You get very, doing the same thing for 20 years or so, you become a little jaded
You
and
want to mix it up a little bit, change
yeah,
things up.
it does become kind of repetitive, just the joy I would have had releasing Marathon Man and Escape from Alcatraz and 3 Days of the Condor and Death Wish and these type of titles that I released like 2-3 years ago. I think if I had done those 15 years ago, I would have been so excited. But I also had more people in my life that I used to talk to about those things. My older brother was a big movie fan, so we always had conversations. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, and then
Sorry.
then there's also the guys from Scorpion and Code Red. So I had all these people that I used to share these deals with, and we could get excited and and pretty much I have nobody to talk to anymore.
Really, nobody in the community and
No, because when it comes to it, most of the people that are in my life now they're younger than me, and their knowledge of film is not, you know, it's very hard for me to have a conversation about stuff like that with somebody that is not as educated about film. Um, where I'm regularly trying to explain to them everything. Stuff like that.
Well,
I don't mind. I've had a little relationship with somebody previously, and she was not very knowledgeable about older movies because she was younger than me. But it was great to introduce stuff to them. Like I remember, so that's
I think
uh,
that's a great thing to share to if you're not familiar, let me introduce you into my world, my passions.
yeah. But the thing is
And
that it's great when that introduction gets a great response.
oh,
And
okay.
that
Well,
person, when the person is when that person is really into it and like, wow, this was really great. I cannot believe I've never seen this. Well, when they look bored and this is something that really
that's a
means a lot
different
to you,
story.
then
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, I think this stops here, and we're not gonna be introducing any more of our favorite films to this person.
There's really nothing worse than showing someone your favorite movie and them like checking their phone constantly or something like that. You're just like,
Well,
my heart.
yeah, that's horrible. I mean, you should never phones should be put away when you're spending time with somebody. But
Well, what kind of curated box sets are you interested in? Can you share a little bit more about those?
well, some were just the fact that we were able to put the 5 Death Wish films in the same box set. That was like a project that I wanted. Pretty much, it was impossible to do for a long time because the films were with different studios. Same with the Road to Bob Hope Bing Crosby film. But I want to kind of do things that are more themes. Like there's one that I'm really planning to do. I don't want to really give it away because it's kind of something I'm really kind of excited about. So we're gonna do the first one, and then if that does well, then we're gonna do two or three different ones. Um, we've done film noir box sets, as you see right behind us, but we've also done French noir sets, and now we're gonna to the Studio Canal deal. We're gonna do some Brit noir
Oh,
collections,
cool.
and the first box set is gonna hopefully come out in May. So it's pretty close. We're gonna announce it pretty soon,
That's
and
fun.
I'm gonna handle the release of the first one. I'm gonna oversee it because I need to kind of create a template for the person that's gonna do it after me, and then the second, the other volumes are gonna be done by some other people.
Oh, cool.
So
Can you share what's on your wish list of the ones, the the gems that you're trying to go after, like the Night of the Jugglers, and what else is on that
uh,
wish list for you?
there are a lot of films. I don't want to.
You want to keep your cards
I
close.
could just give you one title just out of that I've always kind of been interested in releasing. It's not a great movie, but it's like the fact that it's never been out. It's a movie called Golden Rendezvous. It's Alistair McLean film with Richard Harris and all-star cast. It's kind of a disaster movie with on a ship. So that's one that I've kind of always wondered who owned the rights because it's no longer with the studio. Um, but there's other ones too, and I know the fans will come up with a large list of titles, and if they want to list those, if they want to share those their wish list and stuff with me, and have me go and on a crusade and try to find those, I will try my best. So, um, I could also tell you like something like Cross of Iron. I don't think the version that's out in the U.S. is legally released. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not. So I know who owns the rights to that, and we're trying to see if we clear that, and then maybe give that um, a real, release from the original camera negative and everything else. I'm not sure what studio. I think Studio Canal released it in Europe. I know their version is legal, but I'm talking about the version that got released in the U.S. I'm not gonna name the company, but I don't think they actually own the rest of the film. So, but there's other stuff like that too. So,
Okay, well, that's exciting. Sounds like it'll be a very exciting year. Have you seen any good movies in the theaters lately, or anything you're excited to see coming
well,
out
this
soon?
the same friend, she's the only person that takes me to the movie theaters
Oh,
anymore.
the one who kidnaps you
Yeah, she kidnapped me again, and she took me to the third 28 Days Later film, the Bone.
28 years later.
Yeah, what is it called? Bone something, Bone Temple, or whatever.
And
Um, I had seen the first one. I had seen parts of the second one, and she wasn't even telling me what the movie was. So you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. So,
were you
so
pleasantly surprised, or?
So I was like, oh, I haven't even seen the second one. I was like, okay, all right. I'm not a big horror fan, but I enjoyed it. And this was one of the situations where she didn't enjoy the film, but I actually enjoyed it. But
Mm,
it was well done. I think Ray Fiennes was great in it, and
I really want to see it.
it was well done. It had humor. It had you know,
It looks
there's a couple
brutal.
there's a couple of it's
Like some of the stills I've seen.
extremely graphic sequences in the beginning of like you
Is
know
it Danny Boyle again?
eating. I think he's just one of the producers. I don't think he directed it. So
Okay.
some director I had never heard of before. So probably one of the young horror filmmakers. So
Mm. I just saw Begonia. Have you seen that?
no,
The latest Yorgos Lantimos
no,
film. Are you a Yorgos fan in general?
no.
No. Okay.
I know we released this first film, but
It was interesting. I had no idea what it was about going into it. I feel like some movies are better that way, where you just know nothing ahead of time and you go in and you're very surprised by what transpires.
during the break, I watched a few films that I just caught up. Like I saw the last Mission Impossible. I saw a couple of titles. I saw Superman. I saw a few things, and they're all good.
Latest Superman
Yeah, I
with
mean,
James Gunn.
I was just having a conversation with some people from Universal. We went to dinner a couple of nights ago, and I told them it's been a long time since I've seen a movie where I was like, "Wow," you know,
Yeah.
everything I see, like, it was good, it was okay, it was all right. Yeah.
Did you see One Battle After? Have we talked?
Again, that one, I've heard people that say it's great, and the people that have said, "Yeah, it's okay." It's like it was good, but it was not what I expected it to be. I thought I was going to see something. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't say
Oh, you
anything.
haven't seen it.
But I will see it. That's one I'm going to see because it's Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's has a great cast and everything. I want to see it, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna have a reaction of like it was good, but not oh my god.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well,
again, it's everybody has different tastes, right? So
yeah.
I,
It was fun, but I know what you're saying. Anyway, I won't give anything away, but you should see it just to see it.
yeah.
Well, I know your answer to this, but I have to ask. I really want to ask this. In light of the current situation with Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery, I have seen a lot of social chatter about people moving away from streaming because streaming is getting too consolidated. It's becoming a monopoly and people are just burned out from it. And there's this return to analog, to physical media. All these people are posting, I'm starting a collection, or I've been collecting and here's my collection. These posts are popping up more and more. Does that give you any hope at all for the business?
Oh.
Not even a glimmer.
I'm not a half empty cup half empty person. I'm not. I'm usually
Just about your business.
I am I'm usually I mean when people were telling me in 2000 that this is the end of physical media, I told them you're crazy, because I knew I had at least 20 more years, and it's been now 26 years. But I do see it continuing to decline. I don't anybody that doesn't understand that there's films that I released 5 years ago that I wouldn't touch today, and there's films I would have released 10 years ago that I wouldn't even like look at today. So uh, it's just unless it becomes available to us at a reasonable thing. If somehow the studio or whoever owns the rights is more reasonable and understands that this is not that we just wanted to get this film released and maybe at no advance or a very very tiny advance, then it's doable. And if the film has been already remastered, then we could take those chances. Um, One of the great reasons, one of our best partners right now is Studio Canal, because they're willing to license this titles with new restoration and everything at reasonable costs, and the difference between a Studio Canal deal and a studio deal, a Paramount or Universal or MGM or somebody like that, is that we actually also have other rights. We get limited SVOD, so screening on the video on demand, and we also get some streaming rights here and there, and educational and things like that, which makes it a little bit easier to recoup. And in some cases, I think the first deal also includes some theatrical. But as far as I love the fact that the fans are posting that they're gonna boycott. I don't think anybody at Netflix is sitting around
Not too worried.
shaking their boots. They're continuing to grow at a crazy rate, and they're like, they're so big when it comes to streaming platform that you could put everybody else together, and they're not going to equal Netflix.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
And now the fact that they also are going to get this massive library of films, that probably the largest library of films of any Hollywood studio. It's just like, God bless them. There's no stopping them. So
Well, do you think studios will change their right structures because of the demand? If the demand continues to grow for physical media, do you think they would maybe make it a little bit easier, or do you actually make it harder?
you need somebody at a key position to say, you know what, I'm gonna go against the grain and do something different. I remember I read a quote by Warren Buffett a long, long time ago. It was like, one thing you don't want to just always agree with the masses. So if the masses are saying this is it, like I told you, like physical media, people were saying it's over. What are you doing? Why would you go into acquisitions? What are you doing? This is the perfect time. When I went to my boss's office in 2009 or 2010, I said we should do some studio deals, and he was like, "Why?" I was like, "Because now they're willing to do them. They were not doing them in the past."
True.
And I said that this is the perfect opportunity for us to do it. And unfortunately, at that time, he didn't agree. He passed away a few years ago, so was a father figure to me. So I'm not saying anything negative about him, but he made a mistake. And I had to take the package that I was trying to acquire from Paramount and took it to Olive Films and started that label. And we did, close to 400 or 500 movies before I left 4 years later and came back to Kino. So it needs to be like somebody in a key position that says, you know what, we have this massive library of films. It's nobody's doing anything with. Let's if licensing, finding a distribution partner, somebody that would handle physical media for them and stuff like that. Similar to what now some studios are doing. I know that MGM's home video was being handled by Warner Bros. Not now, we don't know how long that's going to last, but there's different ways of doing it to continue to support physical media and everything else.
Well, I guess
But also you have to look at it from their point of view. It's just not the numbers that they get from labels like us and Criterion and stuff like that. Those barely move the needle. So It's not like
Yeah.
they're sitting around waiting for these, you know, they're thinking billions and not
Yeah, of course.
a million or
Yeah.
or hundreds of $1,000s, you know. So
Yeah. Even this growing demand,
yeah,
if it is out there, is a drop in the bucket, in the
right,
overall
right,
entertainment industry. Okay, well, should we get into audience questions?
sure.
Awesome. We have got a lot, so it's great. We'll start. I'm just gonna go down the list. Care Lockhart asks, how do you feel about issuing 4K editions of films made 75 years ago or more? This is not referring to making a 4K scan of a negative or other preservation material. Does it make a difference if you have access to the camera negative? We'll start with that.
Well, 75 years, what is from 1950, 1950s? That's
75 years ago. Yeah, 1950
just, so are they saying just 75 years ago or 75 years before
or more. 75 years ago or more.
or more? So that means films of the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Mhm.
Um, we've released films like with Scarlet Street on 4K. Some studios have done them, like the major ones, like Mrs. Smith Goes to Washington was done by Sony, and Warner Brothers, I think, has done some, of course, Gone with the Wind and Was It Evolves, those types of titles. But to be honest, that you're not gonna go and put out, small little black and white films, on 4K because the format, the fans of the format do not support those type of titles. They're more into more visual, more bigger titles and stuff like that. And then also, yeah, you of course you would want to work off the camera negative. The camera negative is the most important thing. So that's why whenever people ask us, why don't you do more public domain? I'm like, well, public domain, you still need the film elements. And even if the film is PD, the original film elements are still with the major studio. They still own that.
Mm.
So it's not like that becomes public domain. No, the elements
Yeah.
are still theirs.
Yeah, a lot
So
of moving parts to that.
yeah.
Dr. Dark is asking, has the trend of giving up physical media in exchange for streaming started to reverse itself? Or are the majority of people still not buying Blu-rays and UHD Blues? Also, what percentage of people are still buying DVDs?
That's a lot of questions there. I would say, I never looked at. There are people that stream, but also have a collection of discs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there are people that are exclusively into streaming, and now they're saying, well, there may be some, like you said, people have said, "I want to get into collecting." But majority of people that are really into streaming and watching stuff on their phones and stuff like that, they're never going to get into building a shelf like that and putting discs on their wall. There's going to be a few here and there, but not enough to actually make a difference. So I think a lot of DVD collectors also stream. I stream. I was tired of cable and how much I was being charged, and now I'm like, wait a minute, cable is kind of cheaper than
No,
streaming.
yeah, now it's
But all these,
streaming.
what
That's getting
everybody's
cheap.
asking for, I canceled Disney Plus, I canceled HBO Max. I was like, I barely watched them. What I was like watching Bill Maher once in a while, and I was watching maybe Hard Knocks once in a while, um, and then one major studio film that would show up. But I'm like, I could always like the one or two films that I'm interested in seeing, I could always pay a little fee and watch it on Amazon Prime or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as DVDs are concerned, there's titles that still outsell Blu-ray on DVD because they're grandfathered in. They're films that were released a long, long time ago and are regularly being carried by libraries and regularly being carried by a lot of the old timers. I know my dad had never bought a Blu-ray player. The only reason he had a Blu-ray player and had Blu-rays is because I got it for him. He was losing his eyesight a little bit and was telling me everything looks really dark. I'm like, well, we're watching DVD on HD TVs. They're gonna look really bad. So I put in, I got him a Blu-ray player, and I put the same movie on Blu-ray for him. He's like, "Oh my God, it looks so much better." Like, yeah, yes, Dad.
So do most of our customers buy Blu-rays and 4Ks and not so much DVDs?
Or when we used to do print catalog, actual catalogs we used to send out in the mail, majority of those people bought the DVDs. They didn't buy the Blu-rays. They will buy a Blu-ray in return and say, I put it in the machine and didn't play."
Oh.
I was like, it says Blu-ray on it, right?
It's like, what's all the same? It's a disc.
But when it comes to our quarterly sales and all of that, 90%, 95% of the sales is usually Blu-ray, and very few DVDs sold. So majority of the DVDs that are still doing well for us, titles like, Convoy or Support Your Local Sheriff and stuff like that, those films are doing well because we still move a lot of units on Amazon and other places. So
Got it. Jefferson quietly asks, there's a lot of talk of encoding issues on your 4Ks. I've noticed occasional macro blocking myself. Does this concern you guys for future releases? Any chance of working with a company like Fidelity in Motion?
no. First of all, I think a lot of it is because there's players. Certain machines have problems with certain types of encoding. Um, we tested on 3 or 4 different machines, so we don't see any issues. I'm sorry that people are experiencing that. We're not gonna go to a company that's gonna charge us 3 or 4 times more what we're paying for authoring and encoding. Uh, it's um, it's already a very, acquiring a film and putting it out on 4K is just, it's a very expensive procedure, and for us to, instead of continuing final ways of subtracting from our costs, now go back and add.
Yeah.
No, that's something we'll never do now.
Okay. Jim asks, what is the best way to get involved with contributing supplements to certain releases since I'm a film critic slash historian and would love to be involved in any way? In addition, what are some of your favorite commentary tracks from over the years since I love listening to them and grateful for Kino for all they do to keep that extra alive and thriving? All the best.
Um, well, they need to reach out to our DVD producers. I was one of those, and I am still gonna do once in a while. But they have to reach out to one of the producers, and whenever when a package of films is acquired, when I acquire a package of films, we have a mailing list, email list that we send to everyone and tell everybody to pick their top 5 or whatever films they want to do a commentary for. And then we look at everybody's picks, and when everybody's picked the same movie as number 1, we have to figure out who it's best suited to. So that takes a lot of time, but that's how it works. That's how it happens. And also, if you've done other, if you've done, if you worked, if this is your, now we have given people their first shot. We've done that. We've just recently, Lawrence Lerman, I think we gave him some films. But that's because I've known Lawrence for a long time, and he asked for it, and so I said, okay, we're going to do that. But Lee Gambin, I think the first company to ever hire him was us. Before, he unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. As far as my favorites, I enjoy Steve Mitchell, especially when he's working with when they're doing war films with Stephen J. Rubin. I like the commentaries that he does with Nathaniel Thompson and Howard Berger. But I also really like Eddie Muller when he used to do commentaries. He was really great. Tim Lucas is really great, and Imogen Sarah Smith. She's wonderful. I think she's like one of the best. So, um, I'm how many commentaries do I listen to? Once in a while. I don't have the time to listen to commentaries anymore, unfortunately. But I always enjoy really good directors' commentaries when they're talking about the making of the movie. Like some people, like Sidney Pollack, John Frankenheimer, are really great at it. Then other ones, I didn't know what there's some that don't even do it, but there's the ones that did it, but they shouldn't have done it because they're not very good at it. But in some cases, they would need somebody like you in there, a moderator who could ask them questions. Hey, why did you decide to do this shot?
Right, right.
Because a lot of times when the director sits in a room, and there's nobody asking a question. They end up watching the movie, and then they make a little comment here and there, and it becomes the most boring thing you've seen. But then you have people like John Frankenheimer who just talked and talked and talked and talked about every scene, this shot, this shot.
Yeah.
I know, and so I've always enjoyed the director's commentaries because the director commentary is very educational, too,
It is.
especially with the really early ones when I want to be a filmmaker. So
Yeah, just seeing inside their mind and how that translated to what you're watching on
the
screen.
best books to read is filmmakers talking about their own films, filmmakers on films, on their own films, or even filmmakers talking about their favorite movies. Those are the best books to read if you want to become a filmmaker. You could go to film school and all that. I think it's a waste of money. But I think watching a lot of movies and reading books about film and writing books about cinematography and about editing and watching certain documentaries like
Absolutely.
Visuals of the Light, stuff like that, those are going to be so much more helpful to a person than.
And working on a set, as a PA
Oh
or as
yeah,
an
oh
extra,
that's
that you
priceless.
learn
Yeah,
so much.
that's priceless. If you're on a set with a good filmmaker, like I used to say, I wouldn't mop the floor on a Stanley Kubrick set. Like today, if he was alive, and they were like, they need somebody to be the custodian on the set of his next movie, I'll quit my job and go.
Well, it's a one-day thing. You can just take PTO.
No. But I'm just saying that there was certain people like that you respect so much that you like wished you were around them to see how they did things. And stuff
Yeah.
like that. But there's nobody else. There's nobody around now that I would think like that of. Like if Hitchcock was around, some people like that.
Yeah. Well, you could always be a background, like like you might work a day or two if you're just needed in certain scenes, and you learn so much from that one or 2 days. So
Yeah.
anybody can do
Yeah.
that. What was I gonna say? Oh, so but basically you're saying you are open to working with new people who want to be
Right, but if they've done it before, if they've actually
It helps
recorded,
if
if they've
have
recorded
experience.
commentaries for the labels, it's always good to share that with us and say, hey, I've done this. Also, if they're an expert on a certain genre,
Right.
because classics are easy to find. Look at a lot of people want to do classics. It's like we a lot of times we have a hard time finding people that could do really good commentaries for action films. I know we work with Mike Leader and a couple of other people, that his partners. But a lot of people, I was very disappointed in the commentary that I didn't hear, but my people heard, and they were like saying that even though this person reached out to us and said he wanted to do the commentary, and we hired him, and well, the commentary was very negative. It was very negative towards the film.
Oh, well, that's
And I'm like, so why are you? When we asked you if you want to do this, why say yes?
just gonna help the
Just tell us no. I'm not a fan of this movie, or I'm not do it. It's a problem because they think they actually that people want to hear their opinion, even if they don't like the film. Like, no,
people are buying
the person that
to
bought the film
celebrate.
is a fan of the film, and they don't want to hear you talk negative about it. So
Right.
I was this close to dropping the commentary, but I was like, just forget it, leave it there.
Well, speaking of filmmakers, we have a question from a filmmaker. Sorry, I keep going so close to the mic. His name is Josh Boone, and he directed The Fault in Our Stars. Do you remember that with Shailene Woodley? Maybe like 10 years ago, I want to say, something like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen the film, but I've
You've heard that title?
Yeah.
So he's asking a question. He said, "Hi, I'm Josh Boone. I directed The Fault in Our Stars. One of my favorite forgotten films is 1993's Jack the Bear. It isn't available digitally or on disc since DVD. This is a moving/harrowing coming-of-age film with a career-best performance from Danny DeVito, a very scary Gary Sinise, and a young Reese Witherspoon. What can I do to see this get released? Happy to organize and moderate a commentary. I have probably the only Blu-ray in existence. I made several films for Fox, and the home video department at the time knew I loved it and sent one to me. So an HD master does
he just answered his own
somewhere."
question. It's with Fox, it's with Disney, so they've shut down the vaults. So that right now acquiring a film from Fox and Disney is not possible. So at least not for us and for most of our competitors. So
Well, I don't think he's saying it's at Fox necessarily. He said that he made several films for Fox.
I think Jack the Bear is a Fox movie.
Oh, you do know that?
I'm almost 100% sure it is. But
Okay.
But if it's not, then it's probably with a label that I seem to remember looking into that a while ago, and it was a situation somebody else had requested it, and I think it was with one of the studios where we currently don't have a deal with. So,
Okay. Well, there you go. But thank you for asking the question, Josh. Um, Faith Demonde is asking, "Hi, as someone interested in film restoration and preservation, how did each one of you guys get into the field, i.e., life experiences, degrees, etc., and what ultimately led you to Kino Lorber specifically as opposed to other labels? As a college student, I'd love to venture into this career myself, but have no clue where to start. Thanks again and love you, Kino."
um, I um, my whole I worked at JNR for as a music buyer. I was soundtracks and hip hop and all of that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And then eventually I moved to Kim's Video. I became the head buyer after being the manager for a short period of time. So I've always known film. I've always watched films, and I always argued with film teachers whenever I've had film. Whenever I never lasted long in a film class because I always thought they were full of it. So when I came to Kino when I was in my 20s, I told my boss I'm just going to work for them for a few more years, then I'm going to become a filmmaker. Things changed because I started making money. I had more responsibilities, so I it felt like it was very selfish of me for me to give everything up, to give up a really good paying job, solid uh, paycheck, and go after my pipe dreams. I was one of those driven people that just said, "Forget it, I'm going to do it." I'm pretty sure I was really confident at the time as that I thought I was probably going to be a better filmmaker than 90% of the filmmakers out there. So I was very confident. I thought I was going to be a really good filmmaker. So it didn't happen. So then the second best thing is to work for a company that releases all these really great films and stuff like that. Uh, I fell into all of this stuff. It wasn't like my plan, you know. It wasn't like my plan. Being a music, being a home video buyer, you usually don't offer the head of sales job to um, to a buyer because I had no sales experience. But of course, I took it and made it me and did very well with it. And then eventually, I got more and more involved in acquisitions because well, if I'm going to be head of sales, I also want to be able to acquire stuff. So because I know what will do well and what won't and all that kind of stuff. So it's not there's no like exact thing. You could always send your resume. You know, if you're younger, you could try to intern for the company and see what becomes.
Do
Um,
you have interns here?
yeah, yeah,
You
we do. Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
There you go.
In restoration is something that you get introduced to because early on it was all analog. You know, it was like the early days of remastering was all you know. We used to remaster stuff for VHS, so it hit a lot of the problems, and then DVD, and then Blu-ray was all, which was very much had a lot to do with the actual film and the look of the film and all that other stuff. So I had no experience doing those things. I learned more and more as we got to it, you know. But I wish there was an answer I could give them that yeah, this is what you need to do.
Well, I think
You just gotta
interning is a good start.
yeah yeah you just kind of need to fall into it and get in kind of you know lucky. You get you get.
Just learn on the go
I
and
mean, do I think this was a lucky thing for me? I don't know. I didn't become a filmmaker, so maybe.
what kind of filmmaker did you want to be?
Well, I was gonna be I was gonna start making an independent film. I had written two screenplays and I wanted to do an independent film, but eventually my goal was to be James Cameron and stuff like that. I didn't want to be an art house filmmaker. I wanted to
You
do
wanted to be
big,
mainstream, big
big
studio.
genre films, and they're really good at John McTiernan and people like that. Those are kind of people. We've William Friedkin people. I wanted to make
Mm.
movies that um, were great genre titles, but also had a great screenplay and it was really well made and had great actors and stuff like that. So
Did you want to write and direct your own stuff?
no,
You just want
in the
direct.
beginning, writing was by force because you had to like I had to write um, to hopefully get a project made.
Yeah.
And I worked with a partner because I was good. I was good at the story side of the screenplay, and he was good at the actual dialogue. On the so I was good at coming up with some lines and coming up with the plot and moving the plot along. And no, this is not good. This has been done before. Blah, 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 so eventually, I wanted to just find a really great screenplay and then do it, or find a really good project and hire a great screenwriter and have them do the writing. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to direct movies, and my films are gonna be visual, uh, and
It's not too late. We
uh,
can work on something. I'm now a screenwriter.
it is a little too late, but
Let's work on something together. We can write something together.
sure, yeah, we could do that.
It'll be called Shelf Space. Steven Zamar, aka DS1 Sheets, asks, what goes into a really well done remaster slash re-release of a beloved title on 4K? How much time planning, menu design, production costs? We can stop there. It's a pretty long question.
um, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time?
What goes into a really well done remaster slash re-release of a beloved title on 4K? How much time planning, menu design, production costs? You know what? I'll just read the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it all depends how
Mhm.
if the film elements are in great shape. If you have a really good camera negative, then it's a easy scan happens. The mastering, everything is easy. The color grading, if the colors have not been washed out and everything, it's going to look great. If the camera negative is in really bad shape, then that's problem number one. If it has really damaged frames and scratches and stuff like that, that's problem number two. Um, so you could do all of that, and then as far as once you've received the master and it's like a beautiful master, there's not much you could do to mess that up. I mean, it's
Mhm.
gonna, you could you get to author it. You could give the film a lot of room to breathe. So you have the option of putting on a BD50 dual layer instead of BD25. You put it in BD50. Make sure the film gets the most amount of space. Where the extras, if you're gonna cut corners with the extras. If it's a um, 4K release, you want to make sure it's a UHD 100 and not 66, especially if it's a longer movie. Try to not to put any video extras on the 4K because it takes away from the picture quality.
Mm.
Even though it has a lot of space, the film files are so large that it needs as much space as possible for the actual feature. Um, and then there's, if you're gonna do other things like Dolby Vision, and then if you're gonna, if it's a movie you want to do special audio for, like Atmos and stuff like that, and those are the kind of things you could do. A perfect release is for a movie that is, is a good film, but it's not something that is not one of my all-time favorites. Was something like Crybaby, where we got to remaster the film. Unfortunately, it was the theatrical cut because that was a camera negative, but we were still including the longer cut. But we got to interview almost everybody in the film, and including the director and everybody. So we had like
That's great.
10, 15 extras. That's like a perfect kind of almost like a perfect release.
Mm.
Like something like when we did Deep Rising, that was like a really good release for us because we got almost everybody that we reached out to do an interview. They was like, yes,
Yeah.
and it was loaded with extras and stuff like that. We love when we have all brand new extras and it's nicely produced and stuff like that. But
Seems like
I hope that answered the question. I was just looking on the phone to make sure Jack the Bear was Fox. It was. So
okay. Yeah, it seems like John Waters is pretty game for collaborating, and I hope that we can get him on the show one
well,
day.
John Waters, I spoke to him and he's a sweetheart,
Seems
and
really
I did
nice.
reach out to him and see if he wants to come on the show. Um, I mean,
I'm
the thing is that he
a
doesn't.
huge fan.
He's like a great filmmaker, but he doesn't have that ego that usually goes with a lot of
Right.
filmmakers. So
Yes.
he's very like cool, and we send him. He wanted to make sure that he was happy with the master. We sent it to him. He said it looks beautiful. Can you also send it to the DP because he's more of an expert? And I was like, sure. We sent it to him. He liked it. Um, he wanted a special edition, and I wasn't expecting to do 15 extras for that, but when you have somebody legend like him asking us to do it, we're like, all right, we'll do it. So
It's so nice to have someone who's a legend, but also just down to earth, hilarious, and a genius.
no,
It's
he
like,
was, and he was on the phone making me laugh. He's I mean, sometimes even some directors that are a little bit more difficult, like William Friedkin, you could have a really great conversation with them. A cinephile or a person that really understands knows movie, they recognize all this stuff pretty quickly. So, like when I remember years ago, I went to dinner with my old boss who passed away, and our theatrical head of theatrical, and we went to dinner with Bertrand Tavernier, great French director, but also a film critic, wrote books and stuff about film, like historian. And we were in a French restaurant close to Kino, and it was 4 hours. We were having food and dinner and everything else, and drinks. And I would say 90% of the time was me and him talking.
mm.
And the other people were like, "Oh, so what was that?" It was kind of funny that that's where the connection is. I've never met him. He's much older than me and everything, but it was like I had a great time talking to him because early on he realized he knew a lot about film,
hmm
and early on, of course, I knew he knew a lot about film. So we had a really good conversation. So I know that if I ever sat down and in a bar and Martin Scorsese came sat next to me, and we could talk about movies for 10 hours, and we could,
Sure.
because I have a lot of knowledge of film, a lot of history, and he of course does a lot too. I mean, the things with people like him and Benicio del Toro and Quentin Tarantino and people like that is that they're big movie fans.
Yeah.
They love film. They love the history of film.
Yeah.
They're not just good filmmakers that they make good films themselves. They all love, you know,
They
John,
pay a homage all the
yeah,
time
John
to other films.
Carpenter and people like that. Steven Spielberg, all these people. I mean, I still cherish the letter we got from Spielberg when I was at Olive, thanking us for releasing Red Pony because it was one of his favorite films as a child.
Oh,
We actually got a letter from Steven
that's
Spielberg.
great.
Yeah, so,
He's into writing letters.
yeah.
He's a big letter writer. Um, Mike C asks, have you considered a form on the website where we could suggest films we'd like to see you acquired, upgrade quality?
Sure, we could add. I could talk to the tech people, see if they want to add something like that. Shouldn't be that difficult. Am I going to listen to people? Yeah, I maybe. Most of the time, I have a pretty good idea. If I don't think somebody's going to suggest something that I'm going to say, "Oh my god, I forgot. Why didn't I
Right.
ever think of that?" Uh,
But
I mean,
sometimes
again,
they'll
I don't
align
want
with
to.
it.
People might say, "Well, that's you know pompous," but it's not. It's just like I've been doing this for
That's your
so.
job, yeah.
So it's not a situation. It's not like I know more than everybody else. I could be wrong, but I think when it comes to this, when it comes to acquisitions and stuff like that, with the limited the limitations that I have in front of me and everything else, I think I can't see anybody else doing that much of a better job than I do. But again, that's you have to be confident in what you do. If you're not, then you're gonna have problems.
Well, maybe some of the suggestions can be newer titles that, maybe are
Yeah,
not in your
yeah.
wheelhouse that you can
That's
do
that's
some
that's that's
research
actually
around.
very true because that's something that I could go take a look at and see
Yes.
if I agree with them or not.
Like a Bottoms,
Um,
something like that.
yeah. Well, Bottoms was a situation where the filmmakers wanted to film out, and they reached out, and we're currently working on a movie, the same situation where the filmmaker wanted to film out,
Oh, that's great.
and this is a situation we actually,
A newer release?
yeah, it's a brand new release that came out last year,
Oh, cool.
but it has a major star in it, but it's a situation where this is not even a studio. This producers came to
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And they're like, "We want you. Can you do home video for us?"
See, don't you think that's a good sign of where physical media is going, that producers are now reaching out directly to say we want our film to be released on physical?
Yeah, but that's because the major company that released the film said, "No, we're not interested in physical."
Okay.
so,
I'm just forever
so you have to come
optimistic.
to a small label and ask them to, to do it. I mean, this is a movie with a major star in it, and 10 years ago, you would have to pay an arm and a leg to acquire the rights to something like that. Now it's like it's different. So because the films, the physical media part of the business is not worth as much. It's more, it's not as, yeah. There's some films that do really great on physical media, but even those numbers are not the same as what a streaming deal sometimes a large streaming deal kind of
Yeah.
brings in.
We have a lot of long questions this time. I highlighted this for a reason because I think it's a good one. Can I read it? The whole thing?
Sure.
Okay, Matt from Tampa. I am a physical media collector and I love to buy direct from Kino Lorber to get the latest releases I'm looking for. I love hearing Frank's comments on past episodes about how physical media is superior to streaming and digital services in just about every way, such as convenience, lifetime ownership, picture sound quality, access to bonus features, etc. I recently watched an interview about the making of Revenge of the Nerds and found it disturbing when a comment was made that certain streaming services and networks will not offer films like this due to content, humor, or satire they feel is not politically correct by today's standards. This is another great reason not to be at the mercy of streaming services. As an adult and an American, I feel I should be able to determine what movies are acceptable for me or my family to see from a given catalog based only on the established film rating systems and viewer warnings on content, if any. If this is common practice, what are your thoughts on streaming services trying to censure or restrict certain titles based on their political biases? Okay, now I remember why I highlighted it. It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question, and also something that I'm very much against. I don't think anything should be altered. I don't think scenes should be deleted from movies. I don't
Mhm.
think any language should be removed. If the character in the movie, like French Connection, says the N word, it should be in the movie. It was originally in the movie. Um, it's part of the film. It's part of the history. There's nothing should be changed. 1930s films being a little racist, yeah, it's from 1930s. What do you expect?
It's history and it
It's history.
fosters dialogue about it.
And then sometimes they have to. I'm sorry, but there are sometimes they actually go after films like Silence of the Lambs, where they like, oh, this is shows a transgender person as a violent person, but then clearly in the movie, Hannibal Lecter says he's not a transgender. Transgenders are usually not violent. He thinks he is. This is Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
So when people just blindly attack stuff because it triggers something in them, it's ridiculous. Uh, I released Blame It on Rio, and I'm not proud of releasing that.
I don't know the controversy behind
Okay,
it.
it's much worse than Original Nerds, but I think the Original Nerds scene, I understand why it bothers people. When I saw it as a teenager in the theaters, I didn't even put two and two together. It didn't bother me. But a film like but Revenge of the Nerds is such a uplifting, great movie. Also,
What's
Uh,
the scene they're referring to? I don't remember.
the scene is where he wears a mask. She thinks she's having sex with her boyfriend, but he's he wears a mask, and
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's in the movie. And he's been in love with her, and her boyfriend had never done things that he does. So she's like,
I mean, but this is just one of so many examples of films that may not stand up to today's,
right.
political correctness, but the conversation that it fosters, that it encourages, I think outweighs the value of that conversation, that dialogue outweighs the offensiveness of, that
Right, but
one
the movie
scene.
also has like so many uplifting things going for it. Like nerds,
The underdog
the underdog
theme,
fighting
yeah.
back, and surviving the bullies and the jocks and all of that, and then eventually winning against them and all of that. So I think that uh, if I was offered Blaming on Rio today, would I release it? If it had never been released on Blu-ray before, yeah, I still would do it. But at the same time, I understand why people would have an issue with it. But it doesn't mean that it should be censored and not be available to anybody anymore. If you don't like it, don't buy it. If you don't, if you have an issue with it, don't don't support it.
What
But
year is that from?
81, 82 or something like that.
Mm.
And it's about what really is kind of like it's about two older men going on a vacation with their daughters. First of all, where they go is kind of a nude beach and stuff like that, and that's something very inappropriate. You shouldn't be going with your teenage daughters. Or, but then one of the guys has an affair with his friend's daughter. So it just and it falls in love with her and all that kind of stuff. Demi Moore is and it she's not she's Michael Caine's daughter, where I think Michael Caine has an affair with Joseph Bologna's daughter. It's at that time when it came out, nobody even thought anything of it.
These
And
are
now,
time
yeah,
capsules.
it's like the 1980s. Like nobody thought there was anything wrong with that movie. It was like, but now when you look at it, you're like, oh my god, this is like pretty messed up.
There's so many examples like that, though. So I feel like they are time capsules of a time where culture was different, society, yeah, it's just we need to kind of remember it within that context.
Yeah, but also I'm proud of releasing Tropic Thunder. I know it has Robert Downey in blackface, but it's like it's all very well, intelligently explained throughout the movie.
It's satire.
Yeah, it's satire, and everybody know, they have an African American character in the movie who has a huge problem with this
Right,
stuff,
right, right, yeah.
and Downey's performance is genius. He's incredible in the film. So, um, but and then there was like when we announced Usual Suspects, some people were like, oh, two of these, because Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey,
Oh,
but it's still a great movie, and it has other, so many other people involved in that film.
yeah.
Like you cannot just automatically,
It's tricky, yeah.
yeah, it's just you cannot like cancel stuff. I hate, I really dislike the whole cancel culture. I think that everything, and one of the things I remember was happening for a short period of time was everybody was being treated the same thing. The person that had a very an awkward situation on a date or something was being treated the same as Harvey Weinstein was being treated. Yeah, not all crimes are equal.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I agree with that. I actually, little disclaimers really bother me when I'm like, I'm intelligent enough to know this film has some issues. Like if I'm watching Gone with the Wind, yeah, there's going to be some insensitive
Yeah.
dialogue and some. It's a film dealing with slavery, during the Civil War and all that.
I think some brands have to do that just to say we understand, we acknowledge, we're self-aware that we know that this was reflective of a very horrible time, but we're keeping it as is because it's reflective of a horrible
Right.
time and not erasing
Would
history.
I rather have it be released that way with a disclaimer and not at all? I would rather have it be out with a disclaimer.
Yeah.
I personally feel like I, respect the audience a little bit and just understand that they're intelligent enough to understand this was a 1939 movie, or if they're watching, uh, you know, uh, it's just Warner Brother cartoons,
Mhm.
you don't need Whoopi Goldberg explaining those cartoons to me. I watched them as a kid, loved them for different reasons. As I grew up, I saw how smart and how adult they were, and they were the greatest cartoons ever made. They were the greatest shorts ever made. Yeah, they were politically incorrect a lot of times, but they were really funny. So, um,
I think any kind of censorship, doesn't matter what the political leaning is a very dangerous slope. So we'll leave it at that. Miguel Carrero is asking, has there ever been a film that, for one reason or another, you couldn't find the best elements for a physical release and had to scrap the release of that film?
yeah, yeah, that. Well, there's been such situations where we ended up releasing it only on DVD because we couldn't find the film elements, or it was didn't have a cut negative. I know Storm of the Century was something we really wanted to put out on Blu-ray, but there was a period where they edited films on video and they never created an actual cut negative. So you would have to go through 100 boxes of film to put it all together to create a new cut negative. And then on top of that, what if something is missing?
Mm,
What if you go to all of that and then one reel is missing?
mm.
So we did that for Trilogy of Terror 2, and we couldn't find the first box. It was somehow destroyed or lost. So we had 28 out of 29 boxes. And so many of the boxes were just scraps. So couldn't have they've lost one of those boxes
Yeah.
and not the first part of the film. But we ended up figure out a way to do it. We operated some parts of the movie, and we released it. But if it wasn't for me working with Michael Felcher and him doing everything on a very cheap side, it was impossible for us to do it. It just cost so much. And then there's some situations, yeah, where the film elements are completely lost. There's no actual camera negative of the original, like some classics, Oxbow Incident. There's no camera negative for that. So you have to work of a fine grain, and it's not in great shape, and it's not. You're never gonna get that perfect, clear 4K image that you're gonna get from a camera negative. So
Well, we have time for one more question. Deborah Robbins asks, is Kino Lorber planning any new releases in honor of Black History Month this year?
um I think we're streeting Ray in February and Scott Joplin. So they're both based on legendary Black musicians. I don't really, you know, announce titles on Halloween because people want me to announce a horror film on that date. We don't do that, but we just ended up that this month in February we do have two prominent.
But what did we do last year? Did we do Oscar Michaud last year?
I don't know if Oscar Michaud came out in February. I know a couple of years before that I did the two Sammy Davis Jr. movies. Um, but again, it's not the. I think in February I did announce also the Lost Man, the Sidney Poitier movie. So we I think we've done our part. So Ray, with Jamie
A
Foxx
great
and,
one,
and
yeah.
Scott Joplin with Billy Williams. I think those are two really good films coming out in February. So.
And I think we celebrate all year round. Basically, we celebrate
Right, then with Morgan
Black
Freeman.
excellence all year round.
Morgan Freeman famously does not like Black History Month because it should be the whole year. We're part of American history. We should be celebrated the whole year. There shouldn't be, oh, we're gonna give you a month and give you the shortest month of the year. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, yes, we should celebrate in February and beyond. So I guess I guess that's all the time we have today. So thank you so much. Where's my outro? I still don't have it memorized. Thank you all for watching, and thank you to those who submitted questions. If you would like to submit a question ahead of time, again, sign up for our newsletter. Thank you, Frank, for doing your part in keeping physical media alive. You can find some of the titles we discussed today, along with thousands of others, at kinolorber.com. The link is in the description below, and while you're there, sign up for our newsletter and follow us on social, and we will see you next month.